Good to be with you again. This is the fourth Sunday of what we call Lent, preparation for the death of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus. The text is John 9, 1 through 41. John's gospel is unique in that it has very long stories, very detailed stories, in which Jesus is either telling the story or he is a chief participant in what is going on. What I want to do is not to take all 41 of those verses, but I really want to take just the first three verses in the 9th chapter of John. The reason I'm doing that is that it deals with a question that many people have, and that is, why blindness? Why sickness? Why do things happen to people who on the surface don't seem to deserve those things? Many of you are familiar with Rabbi Harold Kushner's book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. The story of his son who died at 14. Kushner said, if somebody had asked me to write a book entitled Why Bad Things Happen to Good People, I could sum it up in just a few words. I don't know. Frederick Buechner said one time, you and I are not called to solve the mysteries of life. We are called to live in the mystery. Some things beyond our understanding, beyond our ability to articulate. This man was born blind. The disciples thought they knew the problem. Many people thought that sickness was caused by a person's sin. So the disciples said, Jesus, who sinned, this man or his parents? Jesus said, neither. But this is happening because God wants to work in this situation to heal this man. It doesn't mean God caused this, but it simply means that in this particular time, when Jesus encounters the man born blind, Jesus said, this is the opportunity for God to be at work. The problem is that at least you may think you know, but I really don't know what it is that causes things like sickness. I don't know why some people have very difficult problems. As a minister, I had so many situations in which I knew that I could not take my words and lasso them around the issue and explain it. The best I could say is that in the beginning, God created everything good. But something went wrong, not just with the first two people in the Genesis, but something has gone wrong in all of our lives. We say we love God with all of our heart and mind and soul, and yet many times we even forget about God. Love our neighbor as ourselves, as long as the neighbor looks like us and says things in the same way that we say them. All kinds of issues. And I believe what has happened is that something that God created to be all good has now become filled with bad things. And sometimes those bad things happen to the best of people. I wish I knew. Every time as a pastor, when somebody became very ill, I wish I could explain why it is. But something is amiss in the world in which we live, and it takes its toll on a man who had never seen a flower, who had never seen faces, who had never seen the faces of his family. I remember when I graduated from seminary in 1972, I went to my first church. I was there 3 weeks when I had a call from one of the members, a couple that lived in the community, didn't go to church, but they were friends with these members. And the couple that they knew, their son had been in a tragic train car accident in Georgia. I called the widow who lived in a different place. And she said, I really don't want to talk about it. So I talked with the mother and dad. And I'm not sure exactly what I said. Usually I will read the 23rd Psalm. Usually I will say a word about the hope that we have in Jesus Christ. The wife whose husband had died lived out of town. She and her parents came to the funeral, just biting in her words. I don't want to talk about it. And later I learned that he had a former girlfriend in South Georgia. This is a long story, but it really gets at the heart of what you and I have to face in our lives. No matter who we are, something may happen to us that we can't explain. And what we have to do is simply say, God, this is in your hands. That's the hope I have. The hope that life is in God's hands.